Welcome to SJSV2's Roadside Rants. I am Sean of SJS, and I am here driving, which is why this series is called Roadside Rants, because I am on the road and I am gonna rant. And today's rant is going to be about New York sports. And particularly, this is at the time of recording, 1 day removed from the Yankees' utter collapse in Yankee Stadium against the Los Angeles Dodgers in Game 5 that took their chances of making the World Series win a realistic possibility coming back. I mean, they got down 3-0, and we kind of all knew it was over then. Not getting swept was nice, but that's basically because the Dodgers let the Yankees, because they didn't bother to bring in any of their really quality relief pitchers, because they knew that they had a Game 5 that they could do. They had so much leeway. And my bigger issue here, and this is where it's going to turn into a rant, because I was very much surprised that the Yankees made it to the World Series. I was grateful, very grateful, that they made it to the World Series, and it looked like they had the chance to do what has been so desperately missing from New York Yankees baseball, and that was win 28. And if you look at it by the numbers, the Yankees have had the worst run in franchise history since 2009. It's been perpetually mid. This team has always been almost good enough, but never actually good enough, and that falls on the shoulders of two people. While the blame for this World Series ending as badly as it did falls on everybody. It falls on Aaron Boone making the boneheaded call at the end of Game 1 that gave the Dodgers the advantage momentum-wise. It's on the shoulders of all the players for all the ineptitude. It's on the shoulders of Aaron Judge for not being able to wake up in the playoffs until Game 4 of the World Series. I'm convinced now that Aaron Judge is no better or no more than Phillip Rivers is to the now Los Angeles Chargers. He's the Lamar Jackson of the NFL. He's the Dak Prescott of the MLB. And there is no better comparison, I think, as to what the Yankees are and the Dallas Cowboys are. They are living off the legacy of their financial success and the reputation of success that they have not even sniffed for the past 15 years in the Yankees' case until this year. But this year's team was built on the foundation of lucking your way into the playoffs picture, because this was not a great team. This team didn't have depth of fundamentals. It lucked into Luke Weaver being demoted, and that ended up being the best thing for him because he became a good relief pitcher. But that doesn't matter when you have Garrett Cole completely flub that inning in the middle of the game last night in Game 5. And now after that, it was over. It was totally over, and everybody knew it. Every single buddy knew it. And I'm sitting here driving to my job wondering why everyone wants Boone fired. And yes, he made some boneheaded decisions this World Series. You can't deny that. Everybody in this organization did. But if you had a team that you could recognize had a lack of core fundamentals, why would you as a general manager fight fans and then bitch about the Astros when we were in the middle of the ALCS, when the Astros had nothing to do with what was happening now? And then you combat fans, and then the best you can do this offseason, where you needed overhaul, you needed a core, you needed to give Aaron Rodgers some help, was a 1-year transitional contract for a guy who was better than any player on your team. And you have the balls to sit here and say that the Astros robbed you. No, you have been robbing Yankee fans, Brian Cashman, of success since you've been here. They went to the exact all-in strategy the Dallas Cowboys did this year, and they got better results than the Cowboys. I'll give them that, because they happened to luck into an Anthony Volpe grand slam. They happened to luck into a 2-3 run home run here and there that ended up winning them quite a few games. One bat won them a good number of games. It wasn't like what the Dodgers were doing, where they were pretty much at game 4 against the Padres. The Los Angeles Dodgers decided, okay, we're going to win this World Series now. And they put up 10, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, 6 when they lost, or 4 when they lost to the Mets. They never stopped. They never stopped because they had the personnel to shove their talent down the throats of their opponents. And the fact that the Mets, who had a wild run this year, a run nobody expected, but I'm going to be honest with you, and this is something that you need to hear, Yankees fans. The Mets were the better team this year. Yes, the Yankees made the World Series, but the Mets were the better team this year. They took that team meeting in May and shaped that team to become the best team in baseball, with the exception of the Dodgers, all the way up until the NLCS, where the Dodgers decided to prove their talent differential. But this Mets team, if this was a Subway World Series, the Mets would have swept the Yankees. I'm convinced of that. I'm completely convinced of that. And you think Juan Soto's going to want to stay? You think he's going to want to stay after this performance? In the first 2 games of the World Series, Juan Soto in game 2 went 2 for 4. The rest of the team went 2 and 21. That's D-League shit. That's Trenton Thunder numbers. And this is the team that everyone was excited to be in the World Series. And were it not for Volpe, this team would have been swept. Guaranteed. And probably should have. Because Brian Cashman has gotten by on Hal Steinbrenner not wanting to spend money and has gone, okay, we'll live off the reputation of merch and bobblehead day, and let's just take a giant pinstriped dildo and shove it up the ass of every Yankees fan, knowing they're going to sit and buy season tickets and accept it. And the Yankees fans, who are the most entitled fans on the planet, they've won 27 World Series. They don't know what consistent failure looks like and feels like, but now they do. They made the World Series and have asked for both the general manager and the manager to both call for their heads. And I'll tell you something, they're not wrong. I think they're wrong. I think a lot of people are wrong in wanting Boone to go. Yes, he's made mistakes. And I'll give him that. He's made mistakes. And bad mistakes. At bad times. Reminds me a little bit of Todd Bowles, actually. You know, it's great. And then there's some moments where you just go, dude, where was your head at? But most of the time, Aaron Boone's keeping him in games. How many different, when Aaron Judge was struggling and not doing a damn thing in this playoffs, did they move him from third in the lineup? Where he had to feel the pressure of having to hit a home run or having to hit some big bomb into the outfield that he wasn't able to do? It gave him no help. And the players gave them no help because this team simply wasn't good enough. And the reason this team wasn't good enough isn't because Aaron Boone couldn't coach them. It's because Brian Cashman didn't build them. And hasn't built them for a decade. And everybody wants to put the finger and say, getting rid of Boone's going to be the problem. Let me ask you this. Who do you replace him with? And let's ask another question. Let's say you replace him with somebody that you really think is going to make a difference. And then they don't make any changes on the roster. And they lose Juan Soto. Or they sign him to an exorbitant contract that makes them unable to buy anybody else. Both of which are bad. And now the Dodgers are probably going to raise the price. You know, Steve Cohen's going to go after Soto. So if the Yankees do end up keeping Juan Soto, then there's no chance. There's no chance they're going to pay what they ought to pay for him. When they need fundamentals, they need a core in this team. And the most disturbing thing is Cashman thinks they have it. And would much rather talk about the Astros screwing them out of another World Series run than he would about his mistakes building this team. This was an all-time pathetic performance out of the New York Yankees in the World Series. There's no bones about it. This was one of the worst we've seen since the Marlins. This is the worst Yankees team we've seen make the World Series, I think. And they proved it to you. And they proved it to every Yankee fan. And I've said for a long time that the best thing, the healthiest thing for the New York Yankees is to have like 4 or 5 consecutive losing seasons. Because that will make Hal Steinbrenner wake up and get rid of the guy who is consistently putting this team into a position of almost success. But mostly mainline mediocrity that's going to make money despite themselves, because they've got the reputation of being the most recognizable and successful franchise not named the Boston Celtics in sports. And they're riding that, and they're going to make money no matter what. In spite of that, they're going to make money. And at what point? At what point is enough enough? But you know what the problem is? So Brian Cashman's going to keep getting away with it because Hal's going to be fine with him getting away with it. Hal Steinbrenner's going to look at this season and go, it was a success because we made the World Series. But this is the New York Yankees. This is the team that doesn't do this. But they will not be able to get out of their own way because Hal's going to fire the wrong guy. The manager's going to get blamed for this. Then there won't be enough, and Cashman's going to go, oh, we're almost there. We made the World Series. That's got to count for something. Not when you lose like this. Not when you get humiliated by players that should have been playing for the Yankees that went to the Dodgers. Because you can't be a general manager anymore. You can't be in this position of comfort and blasé and complacency. And that's all that Cashman brings to the New York Yankees. Shohei Ohtani could have been a Yankee. Yamamoto could have been a Yankee. But they weren't Yankees because the Yankees' culture of being the destination to come to be successful in this league is on life support. The reputation of the Yankees is nearing that of the Dallas Cowboys. And you got to put it on the owner. And you got to put it on the general manager. Which in the case of the Cowboys is the same guy. But in the case of the Yankees is 2 different people. And I'm not suggesting that Hal sell the team. But Hal needs to wake up. Hal needs to have a come to Jesus moment where he realizes that he is tarnishing his father's legacy. He's tarnishing the legacy of the Yankees. Because he's suckling off the teats of their popularity and not trying to do what most sports franchises are trying to do. Win! And you look at this team. This team was one of the very few losses, or very few wins, I'm sorry. They had plenty of losses. But this Yankees team lost to the Chicago White Sox at their lowest. And everybody said, there's no chance this team is going to win the World Series. And they were right. How could you not be right? The writing was on the wall from the beginning. And I said it. They didn't do enough. And they got lucky that the bats would light up at the right times and that a lot of these other teams' pitchers didn't know how to pitch. This team was built on the philosophy of I'd rather be lucky than good. Why not both? Why can't you be both? Because that's not the philosophy right now. That's not the attitude right now of the brain trust, if there's any up there, of the New York Yankees. And I'll tell you something. It's not going to get better from here. We made it to the top without really earning it. And you think we're going to stay there? You think we're going to be in a position, if Baltimore starts improving, if we face the Guardians again and they develop their roster? What happens if the Dodgers get Soto? You think that the Yankees are even going to be competitive? Not with this roster. Not with this group of guys, because this group of guys has demonstrated that luck can get you far, but it will not get you wins. It will not get you titles. It only gets you to the opportunity for titles. But every time a superior team, like the Los Angeles Dodgers, who had players on it that every person knew should have been Yankees, but Cashman, who has the most ironic name of all the general managers, Brian Cashman, has single-handedly ruined the New York Yankees to where I think we all knew that chances are this Yankees team wasn't good enough. We all knew it. And when it comes to the fans, it's World Series or bust. And I think right now, there is no bigger bust you could have gotten than the way this went down. And the Yankees deserve this humiliation. And I'd like to think that this will be enough to incite change. But in my heart of hearts, I know there's no chance. And until Cashman's gone, be prepared for more of this, Yankees fans, because it's only going to get worse from here. We'll see you next time.